right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 91 of the Ascendant Art Podcast. Yeah. Well, somebody was changing their audio settings to avoid sounds and still came through.
My fucking son. I don't know what he's playing down there, but apparently everyone in the house needs to hear how great it is.
Is he playing?
And everybody on YouTube.
Oh yeah,
everyone in the world, because
all
we're
of our
prestige worldwide up in here.
Prestige worldwide. Like everybody wants to go up for karaoke, but we only let people who are good do it. Oh, back when Will Ferrell was still funny. That was good.
Yeah. Good times.
So tonight we're gonna have some fun. We got a couple of us have watched Five Nights at Freddy's, and I can definitely say it was not our target. We're not the target demo, but I don't think we're gonna be super harsh on it. Like, you know, I'm not gonna Brie Larson that thing and just be like, it's not made for you. But so we got that. South Park dropped their Pandaverse special, which was hilarious, and basically will fuel YouTube streamers for at least the next 2 weeks with clips.
Yeah, but didn't South Park get got for doing that?
No, they're not getting got. Or were you watching like a Mike Zero video?
I don't know. It showed up in my feed. I didn't watch the video, but it said something about the parent studio folding and removing a whole bunch of specific episodes of South Park.
Oh no, they're not gonna.
Yeah, don't know on that.
I'll do my research in the back end.
So we got Bride of Slender's telling you and reminding you to be nice, Slender Dad. So
gross.
We got
He's
Cool
my
Gamer.
son. I'm not supposed to be nice to him. I'm supposed to push him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Cool Gamer is watching on Brahma's channel. So thanks for enjoying the simulcast.
Yep, Cool Gamer's over there.
Nice. And thanks for being here. That's a fun feature that we actually like to do here on the Ascendant Art Podcast, which is to allow any guests that come on to stream our show onto their channels, because we just like being in front of people, and we're not going to try to protect a fiefdom of 193 subs. So there you go. Oh, we've got our great regular here, Bad Take Bojan, saying hello to us and then saying hey to Bride of Slender. Awesome. And then Bride of Slender comes in. I would say this house was the target demo for Five Nights at Freddy's, and that's correct. Knowing the ages of the children who live in your home and their taste in movies and
dude, me and my kids have watched like all of the Markiplier playthroughs of Five Nights at Freddy's, and we've watched all the game theory, the Matt Pat theory videos on Five Nights at Freddy's. We are very up on the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's.
All right, so yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. I don't think Brahma's really worried about having the movie spoiled for him.
No, go for it. Whatever you guys want to talk.
So first of all, I wanted to ask, because I missed this game completely. Like, it came out well after that was, that would have been my age group to watch, or enjoy that game. So, and my son is too young to be into Five Nights at Freddy's. So having watched the movie, it definitely seemed like there was a lot of lore to it. Did you think the movie was pretty accurate to that?
The really hawkish lore people will probably hate it. But they did a good job with it. I mean, they condensed a couple different games down so that they could do lore from multiple games in one movie. But the changes they made worked, in my opinion.
I saw at least one review that said it had too much lore.
I would disagree. Just before we get into spoilers, I guess I'll give kind of a broad overview. The lore I thought was well executed. I could see like a modern viewer not liking how much lore was involved in the story, because there was character development, if you can believe that. Like,
No way.
yeah, character
Oh,
development.
way.
There were personalities, and characters actually like grew and developed through the course of the story. The only place I feel like it fell flat was the climax. Like, I give it
Yeah.
a C plus, maybe a B minus, because the climax was a mess and could have been done a lot better.
I'm going to say that this movie really didn't have, to me at least, any scares. Like nothing in it was actually even
I would say Balloon Boy had the best jump scares.
yeah, so they tried a couple times for jump scares, but it didn't really, hit me very much. But I got where they were going with it. I thought the animatronic design was. I've seen these toys in the toy aisle
Mhm.
because Five Nights at Freddy's is a very popular IP. It's weird to say that to a lot of people who are in our sphere of YouTube because it's kind of probably not something they normally would be paying
No,
attention to.
it's a younger audience, like my kids, right? Like my oldest, he's 21. Right behind him is the next oldest, who's 20. They were in that target demo. They were like between 12 and 16 when the games came out, and they played the games and they got into the lore and everything else. And so those people who played it when they were kids and now want to watch the movie, and they're young 20 somethings, and even the younger kids whose older brother, like my daughters, like it, but I don't know that they ever played the game because they were too young to really play the game. But they liked it because their brothers liked it. So we're about probably 10, 15 years too old to have any reason to like it.
And that's where I came in on my review. Like I appreciated what they were going for. I think we kind of chatted a little bit after we had both watched it, and I said that I thought the target demo seemed like 12 to 16 for this movie, and it's perfect for that target. I think they did a solid job making a movie that's going to make the people who like this IP happy, and that's fine for me. It's not really something I particularly overly enjoyed. I would say that like you said it was a C. I would say B minus C plus for me, just because I can see well it was a
No, that's
fairly
exactly where I'm at too. C plus,
yeah
B minus.
it's a fairly well crafted movie that for the most part keeps a very good narrative that actually it kept me interested through the whole movie. And then like you, I thought the end was kind of a stunt cast forced move that I didn't like so much.
What do you
Uh,
mean stunt cast?
I guess we'll go ahead and give the spoiler warning.
Okay,
Gonna
spoiler
start
alert.
spoiler alert. We're going into the spoilers now. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. Matthew Lillard being cast as the killer seemed like stunt
Oh,
casting.
no, anybody who knows the games knew that that guy was the purple guy from very early on. They
No,
gave
no,
him a purple tie, so
I'm not talking about him. I'm not talking about the character. I'm talking about using him as the actor for it.
okay, okay.
Because I think it was a stunt cast callback to Scream. Obviously his first big role. I mean, he was in Hackers and he had other spots, but the thing that put Matthew Lillard on the map was Scream, the first one where he was one of the two killers with Skeet Ulrich.
Okay,
Where
I will give you what you're saying, but at the same time, he executed extremely well.
yeah,
Like that character, the first game, the only time you hear from that guy, they call him Phone Guy. You don't even know that he's Purple Guy yet. But Phone Guy, basically, you get recordings that tell you what your job is and what you're supposed to do. And they're basically the tutorial, right? And
mhm.
that didn't make a whole lot of sense for this movie. So showing him on the phone, either leaving a voicemail or talking to him and giving him the purple tie and having him kind of basically do the walkthrough or the tutorial over the phone like that, I thought he executed it very well. Like he had that phone guy vibe to him. I liked it.
Now, in the game, did he have a daughter? Was that something they added for the movie, or was that part of the lore from the beginning?
There are a lot of relationships between several characters in the game. I think they modified and shifted a couple of them around a little.
Yeah, because and so to give you kind of to people, one of the two main characters that you are spending the most time with in the movie are PETA from Hunger Games, who is the security guard employee at Freddy's, and then a woman who's a police officer who is responding and kind of gives him the history. She's the Hermione Granger exposition dump machine for Freddy's. Now,
And that exposition dump at the end was the worst part.
yeah, and it actually, what I was going to say is it worked fairly well all the way up until the very last confrontation with what turned out to be her dad, who is Matthew Lillard's character, who was the killer of these children that have now poltergeist inhabited the animatronic characters from this Chuck E. Cheese ripoff.
Yeah, and
I
there's
thought
there's an easy way to fix it because they did it all wrong, and I can walk us through the fix.
I will say just before you do that, what I didn't like, the confrontation at the end with Matthew Lillard, it was super anticlimactic the way it went down.
You broke up a little.
I was saying it was anticlimactic how it happened.
Oh, it was a fucking mess.
And yeah, so they don't actually really PETA from, because that's what I'm going to call him, PETA from Hunger Games, has his little sister draw a picture to remind the animatronic poltergeists that Matthew Lillard was a child killer who had killed them. And then they decide to turn on him, but they don't really show anything happening. They just kind of drag him away, and then it ends.
Now here's where you don't know the lore, but they actually did a really good job with that.
See,
the Springlock suit killing him like that's how he dies in the game. The Springlock suit is what's supposed to kill him.
And that's fine and good. And it's great that it's true to the lore. I will say that, we've talked about how people, like the people making movies should try to always take, take fan criticism, respect the lore. One of the things I liked about Marvel for the first couple phases is that they got the essence of the character, but they made the changes that made it better for movies.
Yeah, but
And
I
like Winter Soldier is a good example, and I think the Five Nights at Freddy's might be great for lore, but it's kind of a letdown ending, and it might be. But again,
now anyone who
are
played
really
the
into
games
it
knows where they're
probably
going
gonna
with
like
it.
Yeah.
You can't kill that guy. Very specifically, the reason you can't kill that guy is, and they didn't really get into this, but there's regular Freddy that you see on stage, right? But then there's Golden Freddy. Because if you remember that there was a different Freddy that showed up and brought her back to the pizza place. And then when she turned around, that Freddy was gone. And it's the really blonde-haired kid was basically the kid that supposedly that kid is Golden Freddy is the super vengeful one. Golden Freddy will not let that guy die. He's basically in that suit but can't die. That's why they showed that kid looking at him in the back room there as he was just like, in pain.
Yeah, and the light with the lights blinking on and off.
Yeah,
like
and
he's
the
alive.
kid just closed the door. It's because Golden Freddy very specifically, like the other kids are less in control, but Golden Freddy is like a vengeful spirit. And
Golden Freddy was the one who
was
was also the one who was the lead kid talking to him in the dreams.
Yep.
And making
Golden
the deal
Freddy
for his sister.
Won't let that guy die. That guy actually, Springtrap shows up in several other games in various forms. but Springtrap can't die for some reason. And the theory is Golden Freddy won't let Springtrap die.
Yeah, so that's a lot going on.
Oh,
The
there's
movie
all sorts of lore.
now, this is something we can bring Brahma back in because this way he's since he didn't watch the movie. There's a lot of criticism about the fact that this movie is being dropped. If you look at the screen grab that I'm showing, that it's in theaters and it's also available on Peacock for free if you subscribe to Peacock. That's how I watched it. I think that's how Slender watched it with his family.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's also in the theaters. And right now, this movie is doing pretty well. It did $7 million in previews last night. It's currently estimated that it's going to come in. Right now, they actually just got an updated 68 million for Halloween this pre-Halloween weekend.
Yeah.
They actually upped the Thursday night previews went up. The initial estimate was 6, and it's actually 10.3 million for a $68 million opening.
Whew.
For a
Yeah, it's gonna
$25
be
million
good.
movie.
And the movie only cost $25 million. And
you know they did pretty well with it for that budget. Like, it's not bad. It looks good. The animatronics look fantastic.
I think it's a good example of how practical effects can be cheaper in
Yeah.
2023 than CGI.
And look better. Like they just looked better.
Can I also say that I thought they had a child actor, several child actors who played prominent roles in this. It's so much easier. You can see for child actors how much better they can react to actual physical, like effects.
Right.
And it came off way. I don't know if you thought the same thing, Slender, but I thought there was a much more realistic response and to like stimulus from the child actors,
No,
knowing that they could see it.
I thought the child actors did a great job. I thought the acting was really good. Most of the writing was good, which is weird to say for this schlock. I mean, you're not going to get past the fact that Five Nights at Freddy's is classic B movie, right? But there was a lot of good stuff there. I went in figuring this was going to be a pile of crap, and it definitely exceeded my expectations. So I can't fault it for that.
And I think this opening weekend proves, and I think Brahma was making this point on some other shows he was on earlier this week, that Five Nights at Freddy's didn't make any mistake putting it in the theaters because the kids who were going to go see it didn't give a shit that it was on Peacock for free. They wanted to go with their friends to see it in a movie theater, and they're paying the tickets to do that. And I would hesitate.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, but I think my daughter, who watched it with me tonight, is going to the theater to watch it with her friends tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, my 19-year-old and my 14-year-old are both, they will not watch it streaming first. They want to see it in the theater. And then they may do their rewatches on Peacock.
And they're super excited about it, right? Like this is
so are all their
movie.
friends. This is their age group.
This is this is
and there's not a lot made for that age group.
And and we used to get a ton, like when I was younger, and I think Brahma and Slender were all kind of the same age zone. Mm-hmm. We used to get there were tons of like teen oriented like horror movies, like Scream, Matthew Lillard. When that came out, it wasn't aimed at 40 and 50-year-olds. It was aimed at teens and early 20s. So that's
high schoolers carried that movie.
Yeah, we just had to hope that they didn't ask for our ID when we went in.
Davina over here saying that Chris Gore and Alan covered Five Nights at Freddy on Film Threat this afternoon. I'd be interested if Davina, if you want to put in chat, what if they were echoing similar thoughts or if they had any different takes. Feel free to share that.
I mean, overall, I give it a positive review. I said, there were some issues with the climax that I think could have been fixed with a little bit better storytelling, but all in all, I don't have a whole lot of complaints beyond that.
So Southern Belle says, is this a surprise hit for teens? What I'm going to say for this is it's not a surprise hit for any of the teens who liked Five Nights at Freddy's. I think this is one of those things where most of the adults who are analyzing this space just have a blind spot for Five Nights at Freddy's because it's not something that was in any way that they were involved with, either playing the game or buying toys for their kids or whatever. So it might have surprised a lot of them at how successful and big this was. I think all the teens were really excited and knew this was going to be kind of a hit. And also they didn't have to spend a lot marketing this because there was so much internal, like, game streams, other things that they were able to just use to promote that this movie was coming out. It was a good
Dude,
example.
all Scott Cawthon has to do is tweet about it once, and the fans will do the rest.
Let's see. Davina says that she hasn't played any of the games. Chris liked it. Alan thought they could have tried harder. See, I think they were making this for the audience that liked the games. And I
Mhm.
think it came off very well for the people who liked the game. So I don't know what they should have tried hard. I think for the budget that they used, which was like Brahma, you said 25 million.
25 to 27, I believe.
Yeah, which for knowing how much some other movies cost, this movie looks like it probably would have cost a lot more. Like if Disney had made this movie, I would have guessed this would have been like an 80 to $100 million budget. Just because they overspend on everything. But you like the animatronics, the puppetry, actually, it had the creepy Chuck E. Cheese vibe you wanted. I think that's what they did.
Yeah, and the fact that the effects were all practical and they didn't try to do CG animatronics, like they were plenty creepy looking. Like they did a really good job with the creepy factor on them.
Yeah, Davina, I think the film will do well, maybe not colossal like Barbie. Yeah, Barbie made like 1.67 billion worldwide. I would say Five Nights at Freddy's is probably going to top out at the 300 million worldwide range, which is, for the budget, fantastic.
Well, and her last comment there, that's the exact same situation with my daughter. She said they made some changes or some things were missing from the film version. My biggest thing was I wanted to see the puppet, but the puppet doesn't, I think, technically appear until the second game. But the puppet is kind of a linchpin to a lot of the lore, so I wanted to see the puppet, but there was no puppet. But that being said, yeah, my kids all said the same, kind of the same, but none of them said that the changes were bad. Like none of them were upset about the changes. All the changes, we all kind of agreed, like, yeah, they make sense. They're understandable when you're making the conversion to film.
Now,
Yeah,
what
the
I will
adaptation to film automatically forces a few changes, and to be able to maybe make other movies from it, you can
They
sometimes have
set up for
changes
a
that are
sequel.
required because of that. Yeah.
Like
Yeah, and
that was
actually,
probably 20 minutes of theory crafting after the movie where we were just pondering where they'd go with the sequel. Would they do the Five Nights at Freddy's 4, where it's all in somebody's head since they've got one character in a coma right now? Would they do Five Nights at Freddy's 3, where somebody buys out the old property and turns it into a haunted house? They could go a lot of directions.
Davina nails it because I was actually going to bring this up next, which is the 2021 Nick Cage film Willy's Wonderland. I
I want to watch
watched
that next.
I had watched that before and I really liked it. And I just kind of was like, oh, I kind of knew it was tangentially related to Five Nights at Freddy's. Now, having seen Five Nights at Freddy's, I really I think I'll enjoy it even more because they're clearly pulling from the lore, and that movie goes way harder in terms of the
Well,
gore.
yeah.
The
And-
violence.
And Nick Cage gives such a crazy. It's Nick Cage, right?
This is
It's
the one
such a-
where he doesn't speak at all,
he
right?
does. Yeah, he doesn't even speak the entire movie, and it's such a Nick Cage thing where even when he doesn't speak, he's still like over the top at the same time.
He still managed to Nick Cage it.
Exactly. Like he gives this character a mannerism where he's constantly just having to drink like grape soda. He'll stop in the middle of killing an animatronic that's trying to kill somebody to just go and have his soda because he has to have it like every 20 minutes. It's
Well,
such
he's like a borderline psychotic OCD guy in that, isn't he?
Yes, and I really liked the movie. I know that Brahma and I had watched Mandy, which was another Nick Cage horror movie, and I was
Oh.
hoping because I had watched Willy's Wonderland before that one, and I thought, okay, it's going to be like that, and it's going to be some crazy over the top gore thing, and it wasn't. It was silly.
No, it was just horrible.
Yeah, it was just bad, bad. So right now, if you go to like Walmart's, on the like Roku display stand, they actually have you're gonna get Mandy with your Roku subscription like purchase. It's not worth it. Don't buy a Roku to get that. Buy a Roku if you want one, but don't feel like that movie is any kind of value added at all.
All right,
Yeah,
so
that one was hard to sit through.
Yes, it was. But
so Will Chad, you watched the movie. I watched the
did.
movie. It sounds like you kind of said the same thing I did, with the climax being kind of where it fell flat.
Yeah, it was just a little weak. I
Now,
liked the build up.
Yeah, they built up great, but here's the fix, right? Because if you'll notice, they did 5 nights. Did you catch that?
I was trying to clock it in my head if they did, because there
They
was
did- they did
it
5
kind of got
nights.
broke up a little bit when the people broke in during the day, which was a little bit
Yeah.
off. But
And they really broke it with that kind of breaks the lore in and of itself that they did that during the day. They should have done that at night, but whatever. The thing that really breaks it is on the 5th night, because he gets got by Foxy and then he wakes up in a police storage facility that's clearly the same set, and they just rearranged the file cabinets a little bit. But
yeah,
and
like he
he's
was
like,
trying
"I
to
took
leave
care of
the
you."
because
And
then you find out that the police officer was the daughter of the owner.
Yeah, which
And-
is neither here nor there. Like, and then she patched him up, and then he goes back. So those are 2 parts of night 5. With the whole point of the game being, you're usually the security guy, and you're in the security office, and the goal is to keep an eye on the animatronics and not let them get into the security office, because if they do, they're going to kill you, right?
which is
So-
what you saw at the beginning.
Well,
That,
and that's my thing. On night 5, I think it would have been a lot better for everything to play out the same, except for the main character. They start coming after him since he doesn't want to let them have his sister, right?
Mhm.
And so he starts doing the full-on Five Nights at Freddy's thing and barricading doors to try and keep them out of the office. But that's when Golden Freddy goes and gets her and brings her back. And instead of having a whole, oh, he got by Foxy and then she saved him and now she's going to give him the whole exposition, just have him, while he's trying to hold down the fort and not get got, have him notice that there's a new tape that says Mike on it. Play the tape and have her give him that exposition dump through a tape, because she couldn't bear to tell him in person.
Mm.
Nothing changes. Nothing changes, but we also can get rid of that part where it's like electricity. Electricity is what's going to fuck him up. Yeah, no shit. Here's some tasers and a cattle prod. That never happened in any game. In any game, you never go on the offensive. So have him barricade up, but then when he sees that his sister is coming into the place all by herself, because he probably can't even see Golden Freddy, but coming into the place all by herself, then he has to start tearing down the barricades to save her, and he improvises and finds some way to electrocute them with the shitty power that the place is running on. Because then you don't have that hard break that just completely takes me out of the action, so that you can give me an exposition dump that I guarantee you 99% of people who watch this movie probably already know, because they played the games and they want to watch the movie. But like, that's all it would have taken. Don't do. We already saw Foxy get someone else. Did we really need to see Foxy get the main character too? You know what I'm saying? Like that, you intentionally put in a hard break so that you could give an exposition dump that could have been given in a much better way and could have led to a much more natural response to the situation, with him trying to save his sister.
It sounds like a pretty good plan.
You want to
I do
answer Davina's question too, real quick?
Let's
Which one?
see.
She just posted it.
that I gather the
No.
gamers were mostly about jump scares. They had to fill in some story to make a movie.
The first game, yes, but since they were incorporating lore from all the games up to and including, I think, the newest one in the series, not all of it. Some lore was left out, other lore was pulled in. They tried to keep it as cohesive as possible. There would be a few gaps if you tried to do a 1-to-1 comparison.
But are
But
they
the lore
jump
holds
scare
up.
games? Is that the point of the games, or
The main point of the games is jump scares, but there is a crap ton of lore that you can discover both through the course of playing the game and just with a lot of the background information, the extras that you get with the games. So yeah, they had the lore to work with, and I think they worked with the lore that was available very well. The only issue I had was the whole attempt to make him go on the offensive and have an exposition dump that we could have easily gotten in a more natural way, and then arming up with tasers and a cattle prod instead of doing it somehow more naturally. That seemed dumb to me.
Yeah,
okay.
I also thought that the what was it, the little cupcake thing with the cattle prod was not as intense as I thought they could have maybe kind of upped
I
the
think they
ante
pushed
on
the
that.
cupcake because the cupcake is actually a very minimal presence in the games, but he's a super popular character, so they
Yeah,
pushed the cupcake for that's fan service. The cupcake is fan service.
okay. I mean,
Is
I'm
that the
down
thing on the
with
lower right in the picture?
yes. Yep.
Okay.
It's like an
Yeah.
autonomous, like just cupcake head that comes around and tries to eat you.
And yes, she's right. The first game was a very simple concept, but it gets more and more complex from game to game.
Yeah, because she said she hasn't watched any of the videos on Five Nights at Freddy's gameplay yet. So, which makes sense. You're gonna, you have it was, I believe, a low budget indie game the first time.
Yeah, it's made by one guy, Scott
Yeah,
Cawthon.
it's made by one guy. So you
And,
security
and I think a lot
camera
of the
experience.
theory crafting after the first one led to him infusing more lore into it from one installment to the next. I don't think this lore has existed from the start. Scott Cawthon would probably say it does. Scott Cawthon's full of shit. A lot of theory crafting, a lot of people getting really into the first game and creating theories like Matt Pat, who has a cameo in the game. He does the game theory, film theory, food theory, all those channels. He's in the movie. He's got a cameo. But like those people started coming up with crazy theories. And so the lore started, I think, developing out of how much people were interested in that story.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think it's so. I mean, I think this is a good example of responsible filmmaking. You have an audience that wants to see it. You keep the budget reasonable. You put it out and aim it at the audience that wants it, and you're gonna make money. It's crazy, right?
Yeah. Well, it's Mario Brothers, just more niche.
Yeah,
Yeah.
isn't that a
Like,
shocking thing?
Severely more niche. So
I do think it's funny that we're on a little hit streak for video game based movies
Video game
actually
adaptations? Oh shit,
doing
yeah,
really?
fairly well because Mario Brothers was pretty good. This one has been
Gran
pretty good.
Turismo was pretty good.
Sonic, and I think Gran Turismo it helped that it was actually based on a true story that did happen. So
Yeah, it
um,
was good that they didn't try to make a movie out of Gran Turismo. They
yeah,
used the game to be the driver for the movie type, to
with
get to the real story that happened. So
yeah, if you want to see how that can go south, you can watch Need for Speed, which I think starred what's his name from Breaking Bad,
Aaron
and
Paul or whatever his name is.
yeah, Aaron
Or
Paul, and
no,
it just
yeah.
yeah, Aaron Paul, and it just did not work. It was like they were going like the Need for Speed Hot Pursuit route, and
Yeah.
it
Well, I
just
think even Twisted Metal worked pretty well.
yeah,
I
Twisted
enjoyed the series.
Yeah, Twisted Metal was a good example was of that. I think uh, it shows you, and this is something where I think Marvel is making a mistake because Anthony Mackie's strong suit was how he played Falcon when he was light and loose, kind of like, I'm a soldier, but I'm kind of a little bit of a wisecracking guy.
Yeah,
And when they're gonna they transitioned him to, when he's Captain Falcon, they made him super dour and depressing, and it just doesn't
yeah,
work on him. Whereas if you watch Twisted Metal, he's back to being kind of like a happy-go-lucky, quippy kind of guy, and that's where his
yeah. He's almost
charisma.
too optimistic.
Yeah, and that's where his charisma comes out more, and that's what he's good at. And he was good that way as Falcon, and they're ruining it, making him kind of like an overly serious Captain America.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
fighting racism and everything else that everybody is so worried about. That yeah,
yeah,
we've got to just throw it into every piece of entertainment.
and the Sweet Tooth character design was great. Like
Oh yeah,
I wasn't
that's
sure
Samoa
how they
Joe,
would
the
pull it
wrestler.
off. Yeah, yeah, using Samoa Joe as the like body actor, and then getting what's his
Will
name
Arnett
as the Will Arnett to do the voice. Oh, chef's kiss
and
worked
and
perfect.
Samoa Joe emotes perfectly without having no lines because he's not doing the voice, and he's emoting perfectly the whole
which,
time.
which is great. It's a perfectly thought out kind of casting because you get a bigger kind of a big guy wrestler like that. When they're in the ring, most of the audience doesn't hear when they're what they're saying, so they have to overly exaggerate their movements to kind of get things across.
Yeah,
And so he's almost like a very trained movement actor without voice to be able to get across what Sweet Tooth is doing. It was a great kind of casting. That is also on Peacock. If you have Comcast for your internet and you get like any of the higher speed packages, you can look it up. You probably get Peacock for free for at least a year or two included. So I know that's how I actually Slender was like, I can't watch any of these things. It came up when we were watching the Continental, and I was like, you've got Comcast internet, you've got Peacock, and he was
We
like, oh my
seriously
gosh.
your
got
provider.
Golden Freddy in the chat now.
It looks like it.
I'm out. See you guys later.
Oh no. Don't kill the
That's the
stream.
worst one, man. You know how in the first
So
game, right?
Jason shows up for Matt, and Golden Freddy shows up for you guys.
Apparently,
Apparently.
in the first game, though, right? There was Freddy, Bonnie, Foxy, and Chica, right? Golden Freddy was extremely hard to run into, but you could run into him. The thing is, if you ran into Golden Freddy, it just crashed the game. Like you didn't lose, you started the F over because it crashed the game.
So he's a soft lock of some kind.
That's
Uh, he
hilarious.
he is in fact so powerful and destructive that he would destroy your run.
That is hilarious. I yeah, I mean, I'm guessing there's going to be a resurgence in the sales for Five Nights at Freddy's. This is going to, this is one of those things that comes up a lot with anime when people don't realize that anime adaptations are mainly designed to spur manga sales. They want, like, the companies are doing it. They're happy if they break even on production of the TV show, because then it, like, if it's successful, people will go back and buy the manga like prolifically. So I think Five Nights at Freddy's, in addition to being actually a successful movie, is going to probably, create a nice burst in sales. I would say if there's video game charts, sales charts in the next few weeks, if it hasn't already, Five Nights at Freddy's is going to probably jump back on there.
Dude, if
Well,
if
and you
if they
may
put
get
out like a bundle on Steam where you can get like all the games or something.
I'm pretty sure it's Southern Bell asks, what system is this game on? I think it's available on most of them at this point, right? I think it's
I
I'll
on.
have
check.
no
I think
idea on
it's
that one.
pretty sure it's on Xbox. Let me look it up.
PC definitely.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now. It's definitely on PC. You can probably get all these on Steam.
All right,
Yeah.
Five
Well,
Nights at Freddy.
and the
Yep,
kids who
available
may
on
have been
Switch, PS4, Xbox. It's on all of them.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the kids who may have been too young to play the game but are now old enough to go see the movie may make up a whole new, group of kids playing the game again.
Yeah, get another surge.
Yeah.
And
So, I'm gonna-
as far as Davina's comment, I haven't watched any videos on FNAF gameplay yet. Like, the gameplay is kind of boring, but like game theory, they've done a whole bunch of theory videos on all the FNAF games, and
Breaking
they're
down
pretty
the
good.
lore.
Yeah, they're really good. I enjoy the hell out of them.
So game theory does lore for this like Vadavidya does for From Software games.
Game theory
Same
doesn't
quality
quite
or
go as deep.
okay.
It's Matt Pat, and he has a very specific formula. And originally, like a lot of his videos were more science oriented. Like he would do a video like, what would really happen to you in Assassin's Creed if you jumped off of a 100-foot tower and landed in a hay bale? Like,
Yeah.
But for the Five Nights at Freddy's, he did a lot of lore videos. So he does all sorts of video games, but he's done pretty much every FNAF game.
Okay.
And they're
I'll have to
pretty
check
good.
it out.
I enjoy the hell out of it. He was the waiter in the movie. And it's funny because when he's talking to them, they're like, we're not going to be having lunch. And he's like, are you sure? Lunch is the most important meal of the day. And then someone said, isn't breakfast the most important meal of the day? And he said, well, and he knocked on the table and he's like, that's just a theory. And that's his
Game
line
theory.
at the end of every episode. He goes, that's just a theory, a game theory. So I thought that was funny as hell.
So this would be like if the Lucasfilm people put Star Wars theory into a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Right.
And apparently the cab driver, he's also a big YouTuber that I'm not aware of, but my kids immediately knew who he was, so they thought that was great.
I'm
And
sure mine
according
would
to
too,
one of
then.
my sons, Markiplier was supposed to have a cameo as well, but he was busy filming Iron Lung, so he couldn't get off the set that he was on.
I
Well,
take it
that's
he
cool.
plays the game.
Markiplier is kind of the undisputed king of Five Nights at Freddy's.
Okay.
I mean, is that from like he's the king of actually playing the game?
He's played like every single one
He streams it.
from start to finish. He's done them all. He's done like everyone. He's done a bunch of the fan-made spin-off games. As Davina Duckworth says in the chat there's something like 18 FNAF games. There's probably like a dozen books. There's a movie now. There's the lore goes deep.
There's really that many games?
Yes. There's Five Nights at Freddy's, 2, 3, 4. There was an MMORPG that is loosely tied to the lore of it, or not an MMORPG, but like an RPG you could play.
Action RPG.
Yeah, that was loosely tied to it. I think it was turn-based. There's the newest one where it's almost like Five Nights at Freddy, like Freddy's Pizzeria is now like a whole like shopping mall. There's been a couple other spin-off games as well. There's a lot. There's
Look
a
at this.
massive pile of content.
Yeah, Davina over here. There's something like 18 FNAF games if you include the spin-offs. It's like, holy crap. Talk about barrier of entry. The movie's actually probably really good to help, because sometimes at that point when you have that many games, it can kind of be off-putting because you're like, where do I start? So if you get people who watch the movie now, they at least feel like they have a floor and can jump in. So
yeah, and I mean, if you like the idea of an evil psychopath murdering kids and stuffing their corpses into animatronic robots, then those games are for you. Like, they've got everything you're looking for.
Well, you really sold it right there, didn't you?
That just makes me think of Culture in his previous job at Showbiz Pizza.
Jesus. Yeah.
And then the Bride of Slender comes out here and looks at me and goes, "What is wrong with you?"
We all
She
know
told you
what's
to-
wrong with them.
She told you to be nice. Be nice, Slender. All right. So I think we can
I
wrap
haven't
up with
stuffed any of my kids into animatronics.
yeah.
Yet.
I think we can kind of wrap up and sum up that basically for those who watched it, me and Slender, we positive review for Five Nights at Freddy. It was a good adaptation, solid movie, production value. And if you're a teenager or have younger kids who are into this, they'll probably really like it, and you'll probably have a good time. And they probably, honestly, if you've got kids in that age group, they're already probably trying to get you to take them to the theater to watch it, or to go with friends to the theater and watch it. So
Yep, I'm sure mine will be this weekend.
Soul Assassin with Showbiz Casino probably having flashbacks from FNAF. So,
Yeah, I'd say if you're familiar with the games and you enjoyed them, this movie's probably going to be a B plus for you. If you're completely unfamiliar, you'll probably put it at about a B minus.
Slender. This makes me, Soul Assassin's comment made me think. How awesome would it be if Grant Gregory took that section of Five Nights at Freddy's where it's the like instruction video, and he put Culture's face on the woman doing the like 1980s style like instructions for working at Freddy's.
Dude, you could get the whole monologue from the game, because the phone conversation, like it's like a minute and a half that just basically kind of walks you through the whole concept of the game. But you have Culture's voice instead. That'd be funny as hell.
That would be great. So we got to message Mr. Grant Gregory on on that one. So yeah, so Five Nights at Freddy's actually pretty positive. Good one to do there. Soul Assassin over there. Yeah, do it. Do it. That would, I think it'll that could be the good lasting thing for that. All right. So I did, before we switch over to the Pandaverse, because that's another big thing. I wanted to get your guys' opinions. You're both parents. And so this weekend, one of the local theaters is actually showing Monster Squad.
Nice.
And I have an 8-year-old about to be 9-year-old. And I remember I discovered Monster Squad, like a lot of people, when it was showing on HBO, and like when I was around 10, 11. And so I'm just wondering, do you think like an 8, 9-year-old is, and Slender knows my son, so he might have a better, track on this. Where would you be at with taking your kid? Because this was aimed at being like a kid entry monster movie.
I'd say 10. I'd wait till at least 10. I don't know.
Yeah, I would have said double digits back in the day.
Because here's the thing. I remember that when I was a very wee lad, I watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Large Marge scared you?
Oh my God, dude. She fucked me up. Like that stuck with me for years. Because I was alone when I was watching it. Like my mom was up in the kitchen cooking, and I was down in the basement watching TV, and it was dark, and nobody else was home. And then Large Marge did that thing with her face in the claymation, and I almost pissed all over my dad's easy chair, and he would not have been happy about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that the monsters were all that scary in this, but and at 8, he's probably young enough that the stuff about spying on the chick next door,
Yeah,
is going to go over his head, or he won't care.
And the virgin joke will probably not click with him. The only
Right.
the stuff that I could
got
think,
snards.
yeah, the wolf, like the stuff that comes to mind as probably being something that might mess him up. The Wolfman transformation in this movie is actually fantastic. The makeup effects, and I could see how that, because it's so good and it's a practical effect of changing the dude into the Wolfman, and that I think that would mess with him. There is the part where it's another Wolfman part where they put the dynamite down his pants and then they blow him into pieces, and then the pieces kind of like fly back together to rebuild him.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't say Large Marge sent me when I went to a diner. I don't want to see someone else do a claymation face.
No, that's what you're supposed to say when you go to the basement of the Alamo.
No, God, no. Either way, going back to Southern Bell's comment about playing almost all the Emily series, the Emily series was way scarier than Five Nights at Freddy's. So if you're good with the Emily series, you can handle Five Nights at Freddy's, no problem.
Gotcha. So, yeah, I the only reason I wanted to take it, number one, I thought it would be fun to watch Monster Squad in a theater because
Yeah.
obviously we missed that. Most of us missed that opportunity when we were younger because it was a flop in theaters. And then the second thing is, I thought, I want to get my son kind of more into. I think he might like it. He's creative. He likes doing kind of monster stories that he draws and does things. And I was like, oh, Monster Squad is kind of a good entry level one to get him in there.
Okay,
But-
two things. One, Brahma, that hat is awesome. Two, Brahma, why you gotta do this shit?
Because Nuclear in my chat said show top hat. That's
Okay,
he's a new viewer to my channel.
Well, now carry the show while I step away for about 4 or 5 minutes.
Haven't I been doing that? No.
So for those of you in chat who don't understand, Slender does his best to not smoke for the couple hours we do this show, and then Brahma makes it his mission to go on camera enjoying his cigarettes and just driving Slender nuts to the point where he has to just run out to smoke.
There have been a few times him and the wife both have decided, okay, we'll smoke inside. But that's mostly doing movies with Mad.
Yes, some of those movies will drive you to smoke. I think the ones where it was Slender and Bride of Slender absolutely broke down and just smoke inside their house was the Neil Breen ones. So
yeah, I believe those were the ones that pushed over the edge. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's funny. Like Mad will be all excited to go see a Neil Breen movie in a theater. I'm here like, hey, let me take my kid to Monster Squad. It'll be a fun time. There's, I think, a different quality level right there. So, but yeah, so thanks for the advice on that one. I appreciate it. Maybe chat. What does chat think? Would chat take their 8-9-year-old kid to Monster Squad? I'm assuming if you're watching our show and you're in our chat, you've probably seen this movie before. So, but we'll
what
let
does
you
like
leave
the parental guidance type website say on it? Like
that's a good.
I mean, whether you used
see.
a Christian one or just a parental guidance website, all.
Let's see. All right, the Monster Squad parental guide
says 14 plus on Common Sense.
Yeah, which is because they dropped the F word, the modern 2023 version of the F word,
the one that we all used in the 90s.
Yeah, when you talk to another boy, you would say it. Rudy uses binocular to stare at a girl. Well, yeah, I mean, this was in the 1980s. For those of you don't remember, you weren't able to just say you identify as a girl to get into the locker room, so you had to come up with new ways to see what you were trying to see. Oh my gosh, on this parents guide, I'm on the same site you probably are. They say there are no positive messages in this movie. I don't agree with that. These kids
not
got
every
it done.
movie has to have a positive message either way.
Well, I would say that, remember the kids were able to use shop equipment to build their own tools to fight the monsters. That's, hey, that was practical. The guy was like, making the stakes that he could shoot with his bow and arrow. So,
yeah. No, this is funny. Parents need to know that while most of the movie is good Scooby-Doo style fun, it also has an undercurrent of intolerance. In addition to Dracula and the Wolfman, the movie sets up the boogeymen of today: gay men, fat people, and girls who want to be included in the boys' club. So yeah, based on that, I would say definitely take your 8-year-old to see it.
Yeah, I was about to say these are all things that
They
I don't
just convinced me.
Sean's parents are also going to a marriage counselor and fight loudly when Sean can hear them. I mean, that's what you used to have to happen with your parents fighting. They didn't all get divorced at the drop of a hat. Isn't that
Right.
crazy? Um,
When is
and while
Madge going to
Rudy,
get back to the movies? Yeah, no idea. He's discovered new toys.
oh, here's a good one from Davina. 10 out of 10 toxicity. Yeah, there you go.
Toxic
You-
Tuesday rating.
my favorite thing is that they had to go to like a 6-year-old to find a virgin in Southern California at that time to be able to do the magic spell. So, oh, it's good stuff. Now, what you have watched, Brahma, was the Panderverse,
Yeah, and it was
which
fantastic.
it was so good.
Although
Uh,
I haven't watched anybody talk about it yet today. But I'm wondering how many people caught how much it skewers us too.
yeah, with like sending the toxic emails and creating the feedback loop.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it was, I mean, we're not going to complain about it because we aren't, a whole bunch of whiny babies about everything. But yeah, it does skewer
we're
us
the
as well.
target audience, but we're not the target.
Well,
Right.
you haven't watched the Panderverse yet, have you, Slender? So there is a point. It's towards the end of the episode where they basically indicate that Kathleen Kennedy was only escalating based on the negative feedback loop. So it's whatever. Yeah. So
Basically, we're Cartman.
yeah.
All of us that
And
are on YouTube are Cartman.
so it's funny. But
I'm
speaking of
okay with
Cartman,
that.
let's see. Where is because we'll skip because I don't want to get struck because I know some people have for showing this clip.
And
So we'll
this is the South Park crew right here.
yes.
Yeah.
So on the right is Stan,
Okay.
and then right in the center is Kenny.
Yeah, we all know who Kenny is.
Sabine over there.
Who
I
are
love
just
that they
kids from
made her.
school.
Do they still kill Kenny? Please tell me they still kill Kenny.
Yes,
That's
they
a
do.
surprise. Oh,
Oh,
yeah, they do.
no, they put it in the trailer.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they have the bus running her over in the trailer. So it was not a shocker. So here we go.
Kenny's like, it's not our fault, it's because of Kathleen Kennedy. But then Kathleen Kennedy's just like, fuck it, make it more lame. And everyone in town is like, no, please, Kathleen Kennedy, stop ruining everything. But Kathleen Kennedy is all like, put another gay diverse woman in it, make it more fucking lame.
You may want to change the banner too.
Yeah, that's true. Oh yeah.
Oh, man.
There's one point where Cartman's at well, it's not Cartman, it's Kathleen Kennedy Cartman is at a restaurant and they bring out the food and they're like he's looking at it like, what is this? And they're like, well, that's what you ordered. And he said, no, I wanted it with a woman and make her gay and put it on the food. Everything Kathleen Kennedy wants is throw in a woman and make her gay.
Yeah, make it more lame.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is very true to life.
Here you go. This is the best part. No, what's going on with my stocks?
Right.
That clip is just makes me laugh. Now, if you watch, there's I love the female Cartman.
Yeah.
Especially she goes through like I'm not going to ruin the gag, but it leads to the point where Stan is like, "Oh my god, she is Cartman."
The two side things are the B plot was pretty good too. And I'd say the funniest, well, not the funniest part, but the fact that the whole thing is because it's a multiverse is
Yeah,
what
and they're
really
making
is great about it because they're just skewering Disney and Marvel.
that was and I love the fact that they were making fun of how lazy multiverse storytelling is.
And then
And
they bring it up like 30 times during the episode.
and then how all
I gotta share this with you guys. Hold on. Google's pulling a Google again.
But yeah, so while you're pulling that up, this is the diverse version of the crew. We got Stan on the left, followed by Kyle, then Kenny, and then all the way on
Then
the right
Cartman.
is Cartman.
So I just ran this search on Google. If you look up there, I put, where can I watch Into the Panderverse?
Right.
And it's like, oh, yeah, you didn't want to watch that, right? Like, you wanted to watch this.
Well,
Oh,
technically, it's called joining the Panderverse, so
Either
that may have been
way,
what screwed it up a little bit. But yeah,
Google knows what I'm looking for.
well, I do think it's funny that Google is implicitly saying that Miles Morales is a pander. But and then the best part about it is since Kenny is not obviously wearing the hoodie over his mouth, you can hear like the dialogue for once, and Kenny's just like, no, I like girls with big tits. Like, what's wrong?
Yeah, he's
Like,
just constantly talking about that. I can't remember the first name, but Mullins' boobs.
yeah. Was Davina Google as a trash panda? It is. It is good one. Oh, but and the way that a Panderverse Cartman talks to regular universe Kyle is hilarious. Like, just
Yeah,
because
sassy black woman as Cartman. Yeah,
what's great is there's a running gag, Slender, where Panderverse Cartman is like, is your mom still a fat bitch in this world too? And Kyle's like, what are you can't say that, and the other kids are like, well,
oh, I was so waiting for the character to break out into the song.
Oh, Cosmo. Yeah. And what was awesome is that every adult, when they bring like that, look, it's Cartman, and this is Cartman, and every adult's like, I'm okay with it. This is fine.
Right.
Don't say anything about that. They like
I think they
Cartman's
missed
mom.
an opportunity. Oh, go ahead.
When Kyle's mom, he runs in there and like, this is Cartman, and Kyle's mom's like, okay, I'm fine with this. And then just backs out of the room. It's like, I am not gonna take on a diverse character. Oh yes, Davina.
I think they did miss an opportunity, and they did have him in the episode, but they should have had PC Principal be part of the cause of all of it, and he gets to go back to his timeline too.
Yeah, I like PC Principal as a vehicle for the gags though, so I don't mind. Like when he
Right, but
first got
every
introduced,
episode of South Park essentially resets itself, so
That's
he'd be
true.
right back.
Yeah. Do you remember the also the Panderverse version of Mrs. Garrison? Was hilarious.
Yeah. It was funny because yeah, once you get into the world where it's the pandering world, there is not a guy there except for
Nope.
Cartman.
What's hilarious? So yeah, Slender, the entire universe is just diverse women, including the entire police force, everybody, and yet the entire class that like Mrs. Garrison was teaching was like, today we're going to learn about the patriarchy.
Right.
Of course.
That was the lesson plan for the day.
I mean, haven't we seen that in every show lately? Like, men can no longer occupy a position of authority in a show, even if they
men
do
are not in it
occupy
at all.
No,
Yeah.
there's no men. There's no men.
Yeah,
They know
well,
what men are, but they're not in that universe at all from what we're shown.
Yeah, it'd be more accurate if the men were like the janitors that everyone else at the school shit on all the time.
Right.
Because that's how men are in every other show. Like, they're there, and every once in a while they even occupy a position of authority, but they usually answer to a woman who occupies a higher position of authority.
Or the soy boys, as Southern Belle says.
It could be that the men are there, but they've all transitioned.
It's
Because
true.
men are better at being women.
I was trying to get was the Butters character supposed to be a transitioning one?
I couldn't tell.
I couldn't tell, but yeah.
I mean, you almost don't need it because Mr. Garrison did that a long time ago, right?
Yeah, they've already done that.
Mr. Garrison went all the different directions. Mrs. Garrison is I loved they did it was a Buck Rogers inspired atheist trilogy. Do you remember that one, Brahma?
No.
Where it was supposed to be, it was basically Cartman trying to get I forgot what game system was, the Ninjago Game Sphere or whatever, but it was coming out in 2 weeks and he didn't want to wait, so he froze himself because he didn't want to wait, and then he ends up in the far future like Buck Rogers, and the future has been now destroyed because of Mrs. Garrison got with I forget who that famous Richard Dawkins, the atheist, and pushed him
Okay.
basically to wage war on all religion. It was like-
Apparently, Soul Assassin knows what you're talking about.
yeah, and it wasn't beavers, it was otters. It was otters. Oh, let's
That's funny.
see. Ezra Bridger was whipped before the women got to the planet. Yeah, that's accurate. Ezra was a problem. So Panderverse was great. So what you find
Yes.
out is that Kathleen Kennedy was in Bob, and this is where it's an indictment of Bob Iger first. Bob Iger introduced like all the new people that Disney had bought to what they called the Pander Stone, which was a magic relic that allowed them to keep remaking the same story.
It's an ancient AI.
Yep. And Kathleen Kennedy then gives the story, and when she gives the backstory to Cartman, regular universe Cartman, about how she decided, like, after she had gotten exposed to it, when she started getting negative feedback to like Force Awakens and things, she decided to keep abusing the Pander Stone and use it more and more to make it more and more diverse like versions of the stories, and it was
To
a
force
negative
people to
feedback.
like it.
Exactly.
Okay, I want to issue a correction on something here. Yes, they are, but they are also highly territorial, aggressive carnivores that hunt in packs.
Yeah, they talk
Like,
about that in
They will F you up.
yeah, they're like I forget what they're close, or they're a pack hunting animal, and that's what they make fun of in that South Park episode. They're
They're
like,
like
I
the
will just
honey badgers of the water.
Or the
but they are
mongoose.
cute. But they are cute.
They're cute.
They're adorable. They're freaking adorable when
When
they're
they
at the
rip your
zoo.
face off, they're cute.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's true of like a trash panda too. I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I know what a trash panda can do. So-
I
But-
did love at the end of the episode, well, 3/4 of the way through, when Randy's going through the portal to try to go rescue the
of the sports teams part.
Panderverse. Well, just him, like, it was kind of like Multiverse of Madness. They're going through all these different worlds, but with him, it's just he's just changing his clothes. Like, every time he enters another universe, his clothes just change, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's amazing!" Oh,
Yeah, and then so like they're watching through a portal, Slender, and Randy's like, "Oh my god, in this one I'm wearing shorts." It's like-
yeah.
And then they switch to one, because they're obviously from Denver in South Park. It's Colorado. He switched this team, like he's like, "Oh my god, I'm wearing a Raven shirt now. I don't know if I can do this anymore." And
I
then it
hate the
switches.
Ravens.
Then it switches to the Dolphins. He's like, "Oh no!" And then it switches to the Chiefs, which, if you're familiar with football, is Denver and the Chiefs. No bueno. And he's like, "Oh no! Oh no!"
He's freaking out.
He's freaking
But
out.
yeah, instead of it being going through different universes like Multiverse of Madness did, well, actually, it was more that. Yeah, it was the Doctor Strange one. But you remember how they like turned to paint in one world, and they, things were just different in each different scene as they were passing through the portals and stuff. Yeah, this one, all that happens is his clothes change every couple seconds.
And I think that was also another indictment of just the silly Disney like storytelling. And
Yeah,
the
because the
and
multiverse is trash.
now, Slender, what I think you might enjoy the B storyline even more, because I know I kind of did, and I think Brahma did too.
Yeah.
Which is how all the college graduates felt betrayed because they didn't know how to actually do anything. And so they, like Randy's trying to show his kids how to fix something. He's like, see, the stove door is broken. And so here's how you fix it. So you look at it, you see that the screws are off, you take out your phone and you call the handyman.
Yeah,
You call
they play it off as he's going to actually fix it and show them how, and then he's like, "So you pull out your phone and you call the handyman."
and then the handyman comes by and he's like, no, the screws are stripped. I have to go by the Home Depot. I'll come back here in about 4 weeks to do that. He's like, what? What if I give you an extra $30 for doing it? He's like, no, another guy's already given me another 50 to go do his job today. And so Randy's like, what is happening to this universe? And what's happened, the B storyline is how AI is starting to replace all these white collar jobs. And it's the blue collar people who actually know how to do things that are now billionaires.
The handymen become billionaires because their services are actually needed, whereas a geologist, nobody really cares.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
it's like Randy's like,
it's
I'll trade you
true, though.
geology if you can fix my stove.
Like
Yeah,
that's true.
but they do the thing with, the Mexicans in the parking lot at Home Depot. So they since the handyman can't do it, somebody tells him, "Well, just go to Home Depot and grab somebody off. Tell them what you need, and they'll hop right in your truck, and you can bring them back and get the work done." So he goes to
Yeah.
Home Depot, and he yells out the window that he needs his oven fixed, and it's all the scientists, the news anchors, all of them are all holding signs that they're like, "We'll trade, TV time for." Handyman. So all of the handymen are now replaced at Home Depot by all the college graduates. It was funny.
Yeah,
And then of
was,
course
yeah.
Randy learns nothing by the end of the episode.
Yeah, his solution was to use the multiverse to import more cheap labor.
All the handymen from all the
All the
universes. Bring everything
that's
back to equal.
which is basically Disney level storytelling for
Right.
how you use the multiverse to solve a problem. I 100% love this special. I think it's South Park at its best. It's when it's skewering, and it does skewer both sides because there are
Yeah.
definitely indictments of the YouTube and fan culture. I think they're coming at it from a place of being honest that maybe we get into a negative feedback loop, and I can agree. Sometimes we
Yeah.
get too, some of the sphere and YouTube gets so caught up in just being negative that it gets a little out of hand. But I think South Park, when doing this, clearly shows that it's the Kathleen Kennedy side that is the more ridiculous, over the top, terrible one. So it's
Yeah,
fair.
and
It points out that we may cause some of it, but it definitely also really goes at them that they have a reason to be going at you for this stuff because you are doing, making just absolute crap.
yeah, it's not a one-way street. You can't tell me that I should like something if I don't. And I mean, you guys know me. I'm hypercritical. Like I've torn apart things that I do like.
Yeah.
Like, great example. I liked the Continental, but I couldn't give it better than a C plus. I just couldn't.
Well,
I
you're
had
wrong,
too many
but
issues with this. I had too many issues with the second episode, and certain characters I just felt were completely useless to the story. But they had to be in there because we needed that, my representation or whatever.
See, I think they had rational reasons for being there.
Yes, because a producer told them, we want you to put a character like this in the story, so make it fucking happen.
No, because
well, it was also the blaxploitation.
That's what I was going to get
Trope.
at. They were going for the 70s blaxploitation vibe.
Yeah.
So I don't mind it. I mean, it's a different I understand what you're saying about how that character wasn't in there just for organic story reasons, but I think the reason they were adding it in was the homage to the blaxploitation films of the 70s,
of that
not
time.
so much Panderverse reasons, and that's what I'm going to start calling it now, Panderverse.
If it had come out at a different time, you probably wouldn't have felt the same way about that specific character.
Exactly.
It coming out now automatically gets our radars to start looking at why is that character there, which is where we may have taken it too far on some things. But like I said, we still definitely have a point because we see it all the time. So that is the first instinct to look at.
And I think we don't need, and this is something Brahma, you and Slender may or may not agree with, but I don't know that we owe them the benefit of the doubt all the time.
Right.
That's why I think Slender has a good reason for doing that, because at least he's having the reaction it forces us to try to explain from a story perspective why we thought the characters were okay being there. And if we had no explanation for it, it would be pretty clear what it is. I mean, so it is good that it makes us hold them to a standard to try to justify it beyond just placating the Panderverse, the Kathleen Kennedy demanding more diverse lesbian females in the
put a woman
in
in
the
and
show.
make her gay.
And make it lame. Make it lame.
Yeah, and the actors are still on strike. I could.
The nanny is fucking that shit up, man. They are asking.
Like, you
for
really
so
think
much
that
money.
we should like that studios should be paying you per subscriber? That is insanity.
Right.
So I saw something where basically the studios internally have said that if they don't have a deal in the next week, that they're just gonna basically lock it down
Push
and
it
not
to
come
January.
and push it till next year, because if they get a deal in the next week, they can start spinning up production and be in production by January to still try to salvage basically the second half of a television season and get
Right.
advertising dollars and all that stuff. If it takes any longer than that, the amount of time it would take to spin stuff back up is this whole season's toast anyway. You're not making any deadlines.
And the freaking insanity, because they wanted something like 57 cents a subscriber. They said, "Oh, think how much better it'll make all these actors' lives." And it's like, bullshit. You want that 57 cents per subscriber to go to the union. So none of your fucking actors are ever going to see any of that money. You're going to spend it on lobbying and PR departments and everything else. So no. And furthermore, that cost is going to get passed on to the customer. And already, I don't know about you guys, but I've shut off half my streaming services because I remember a time when I turned off my cable because I was like, I can get this streaming service for $4 and this one for $6, and I can pay $8 for that, and I can pay $5 for that. And then I'm spending like $30 a month on services, and I'm getting all the stuff I want to watch instead of spending almost $100+ a month for a cable package with 400 channels that I never watch.
Right.
But
now it's $30 per month for everything.
Yeah, like Paramount Plus is up to $12
thing.
a month. Netflix is up to $20 a month.
$20.
YouTube Premium, which used to cost me about $10 a month, now costs me $20 a month. It's like,
and they've got built-in increases coming.
Yeah, yep. I'm shutting them down.
Apple TV is increasing their rate to
18% or something.
Yeah, they're going from $6.99 to $9.99.
Yeah, I've shut off all but 3 of my streaming services, and the only other ones that I still have are because I'm getting them through, my cell phone provider, my internet provider, or one of those groups.
Right.
If I can't get it for free, I ain't getting it because I'm not spending another like you shut off 3 streaming services right now. That's $50 every month you just freed up.
Which is one trip to McDonald's at this point for a family.
Or it's filling up the gas tank once.
It's food.
Almost filling up the gas tank once.
Well, it depends on the car you drive. Yeah, I have an Escape.
Yeah.
So
and I mean, as a guy with a family, like that's really what it is. That's food on my fucking table. And food has tripled in price,
Yep.
I am not. You really think you're going to get me to pay more for your shit shows right now. No. I've wanted Elden Ring for over a year. Brahma, when did I get Elden Ring? 2 fucking
when it
weeks
went
ago.
on sale 2 weeks ago.
And I've wanted it for a year. I wanted it since release. I just couldn't.
And you've
find
played
that
it so
extra
much
money.
that you got yourself sick and had to skip last week's show because you were probably playing Elden Ring.
I was playing Elden Ring halfway through the show because I watched it and I was like, I'm gonna go play Elden Ring while I watch.
And to think, I was going to let you stream Elden Ring last week afterwards.
I mean, I'm still playing.
I mean, I've talked about it before, and I know that the co-panelists here all kind of share in it. I started moving away from streaming services, and I'm building my own infrastructure. I I bought the equipment to do a Plex server, and I've been populating that. We just last week, the library in my local area was doing one of their used book sales. And when they do that, they also usually sell their old DVDs, and now they even have Blu-rays too. And at the end of the week, they do a sale where it's like $5 and you can fill an entire bag up, and you get whatever, because they're trying to clear out their space because it's the end of their, fundraising sale. I got for $5, I got like a whole bag full of DVDs, and I'm putting those on my Plex server, and I got the physical media, but I make a digital copy that I control. And you can, that cost me $5, and I got like 20 plus movies and some Blu-rays that were mixed in. That's how you do it. You got to just take control and make it yourself.
Or become friends with someone who does that.
Become friends with little Chad.
That's true. Let's see. Oh yeah, Clay was talking about, I think this was about the fast food comment, Brahma. If you use the delivery service, it's even more expensive. And those fuckers will eat your food.
Dude, I don't do delivery service anymore. I don't do restaurants anymore. Like, I can cook so many good foods now.
Well, here's the thing, man,
I didn't crack the KFC code, but I can make better chicken tenders than KFC at this point. So.
You used to be able to go to McDonald's, and it was crap food, but it would cost, to feed your family, if you got the right combination of stuff, it was like $10.
Yeah, my family, it was like
family of 4 is like 15 to $20.
Yeah, and now, I mean, Jesus Christ, I got it was last month. My wife and son were really craving Chick-fil-A, and it'd been forever. I was like, fine, I'll get you Chick-fil-A. Just 2 meals. $2 2 meals was like $25.
Yeah.
To take my family of 4 to Chick-fil-A, it's approaching $60, $70.
Same. And if I DoorDash it,
Costco now has some nuggets and chicken breast fillets that are very, very close to Chick-fil-A's recipe. It's lightly breaded chicken fillets and chicken nuggets, and throw them in the air fryer. For $17, you can get a bag of those and basically tell everybody in the family, screw you, we're not going to Chick-fil-A. Just eat those.
Yeah, that's
the same freaking
thing.
Yeah. I'll go buy you the barbecue sauce and buffalo sauce and Chick-fil-A sauce. But
when did the guy delivering your food warrant a 10% or 20% tip?
When gas got to the price that it's at.
No, but seriously, right? Because I know they charge you for the gas, they charge you the delivery fee, they already put a gratuity in there for them, and then they ask you about the tip, and they default it to 15%. And in all honesty, 15% for me is usually almost $10 in and of itself.
Well, it's the same time that restaurants decided that 20% was the new, minimum tip. It was 10% most of my life.
I never got even close to 10% when I was a delivery man for a pizza joint when I was
when I did pizza delivery. But the delivery fees also the delivery fees also don't go to the driver, they go to the freaking company.
Yeah, but they give me maybe a $2 tip. Tops.
Yeah, I mean, I would get probably $1 per pizza when I used to do it in college.
Yeah.
I remember my the training I got when I was younger, my parents, was like you start at 15% and you either work up or down based on the service. Like if someone's just average and does their basic job, a 15% tip was what generally was considered normal. But if they screw up, they don't bring you your drinks, they don't do this, you work down, you start taking money off. If they do really good, you can start moving up. And the cap for moving up was 20%. Like that was 20% was a fantastic tip.
And
And
talk with the manager saying, hey, this person
yeah,
was fantastic tonight. Thank you.
exactly. But this crazy thing, like everything asks you to tip now. Like I went, there's a pizza place where I just do carry out. I call, I drive, I pick it up, and then when I go to pay, it has the like, do you want to give a tip? And I'm like, no, motherfucker, you
Oh,
you
the
you didn't
drive-through
do
window at
anything.
my Taco Express, which is like, it's not a chain, it's like the authentic, type of drive-through type place. But, uh, you go get breakfast burritos and they're asking you to tip the drive-through window. It's like, why? What you guys get paid? You're on an hourly rate. You're not on. It's not a server's rate.
That's
It's
the other thing.
crazy that
These assholes got rid of like they all protested and went on strike and did all that other shit where they got all the restaurant like they managed and more power to them for being able to pull this off. They managed to get most of the states to change it so that server rate, if you're a tipped employee, is no longer there and they
right
actually get at least the minimum wage for which at least in my state right now, even though minimum wage is $11, I've seen the like signs and no one is hiring people for less than like 15 or 16.
with a
No,
fifteen
So
hundred
I'm
dollars
with Bad
signing
Take
bonus.
Rojan on that one. That angers me more than anything. Is like the coffee shop, Starbucks. You put a tip jar
Yeah,
out. It's like, dude, you made me my fucking coffee, and then I went on about my business. I didn't ask you to come by and check and see if the coffee was full. You didn't come out to my table and ask me if I wanted any pastries. Like, there is zero interaction between us aside from me telling you what to write on the cup and what I want in the cup. You don't get a tip for that. Sorry.
and
Also, I
number
know they're
one,
paying you $15 an hour.
you definitely don't get a tip if you can't even write a name goddamn right either.
Oh shit.
it's
But seriously,
it's
the
terrible.
whole point of tip culture was back in the day. That's
All right,
what their
so
income was primarily based on.
I
the
get and
servers
maybe
don't, but like fast food places, they're hourly employees. They're not
yeah,
Yeah.
servers.
they're
At a
servers and
restaurant,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
server still makes like what $6 or $7 an hour or something like that,
Yeah,
and
a
tips.
restaurant is a very different story. But like I don't know why I have to give a 20% tip to a guy who delivers my food. Like
Yeah.
the whole point to me of a tip was you were my waiter. Like you came and you interacted with me several times. You took my order. You got my order right. You made the corrections if for some reason there was something wrong with my order.
Drink
You came
bowl.
by and filled up my drink. Like you asked me how I was doing. You made sure that I enjoyed the experience. You maintained the atmosphere of the restaurant for me.
Right.
Do you know my
And
my
that's where we
initial
used to do our only
yeah,
real tipping, besides
yeah.
maybe at the barber or, stuff like that.
Yeah, for me,
I
I
think
would
we're
always
all
start out at 10%, and if they actually did a really good job, I'd kick it up to 20. But like, I'm not going past 20%. Holy shit!
we've all turned into Steve Buscemi from Reservoir Dogs, where when they're like, "Are you thrown in for your tip?" And he's like, "Why?" He's like, "I'm not tipping because because it's socially acceptable." Like, what the fuck did this person do that is worth a tip? He's,
Right.
uh, I just, I hate. Yeah, and then these other thing. Now the like when you get pizza delivery, you put the tip on before it's even delivered, and
Yeah, it could
I
be an hour and a half.
yeah, like it used to be you tip when you actually got the extra service. Now because it's all credit card, you
Well, you can
just
still
it's
do that if you actually carry cash,
yeah, that's the thing.
like
I need to
like
start getting
Tina's
cash
saying.
again. Yeah, always charge the delivery with rest of bill, tip to driver in cash. Plus, here's the fun fact: most people who get tipped in cash don't report those earnings, so
Oh, hell
they
no.
absolutely don't.
Every
I
server that
remember,
got cash never reported that you reported your credit card tips.
Slender Brahma, did you guys work as servers or in like a tipped capacity when you were younger?
I bussed
never
and then
worked
I delivered pizza.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
I
never
delivered
actually served in a
pizza.
restaurant or anything.
So I had friends who through college worked as servers and then bartenders.
Mhm.
And this was right around the transition where people started moving from cash to credit card for everything.
Mhm.
And they were so mad when people like when it started shifting because these fuckers, they're like, those tips, the credit card ones go on my paycheck. And
Right.
so it gets
Yeah, so
taxed
they
and I
get
have to report it.
taxed.
And I was like, well, you assholes, you're supposed to report it. And they're like, well, the IRS says you only have to report like 10% of your tips. And I was like, that is bullshit. It's your
No.
income. You're supposed to report all of your income. You
Yeah.
might be told, you might
You're
think you
gonna
can
pay
get
about
away with,
10%.
you think you could probably get away with only reporting 10% of your, tips because it's not going to, you don't make enough to trigger an audit. But, and they're like, no, the IRS definitely did. It's like, no.
Wait. I'm looking at the comments and I'm seeing a lack of consistency here. It's Courtney's
that?
Fellowship of Oddballs says delivery persons make it so I don't have to be around people. I tip. But then also, I've been a server and a bartender. Apparently you can handle being around people.
Yeah,
Come on
there's
now.
been changes.
Yeah. Changes, David Bowie.
She also used to be in a band and did a lot of stuff back in the day, but
Just decided she doesn't like people anymore. Okay.
Bad Take Bojan working for who I
most
do.
of us don't like people.
It's like always
Yeah, I haven't liked
tipping
people in
cash.
over a decade.
You know what? Here's what I'm going to tell Bad Take Bojan. When she gets the next food delivery, her tip should be telling them about how much she loves Loki and how they should be watching it, since that's her favorite. When the pizza guy comes in and they're like, "Oh, here's your pizza," and she can be like, "Hey, have you seen Loki episode 4? It was great." Because no, it wasn't.
Well, see, now I feel bad. I'm on
Yeah,
disability
Courtney,
now.
I wasn't going to say what is actually going on without you putting it in the chat. So,
Well,
yeah,
I
20 years
I
ago.
hope that it goes well and that the chemo eventually, leads to remission, because that's what we want. We want remission.
I'm an extrovert too, Bill, but
Yeah.
that doesn't make me
Courtney
like
says
people.
Courtney says thank you though, Brahma, because you got to watch out. Slender is a bull in a china shop, even though Brahma is the bull. Slender will just power through on a rant.
Well,
So
I'm a Taurus, so
Although it was Mad that got in trouble last week.
what did Matt do?
Oh wait, yeah,
with Bride of Slender.
Oh,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. She was fucking with him. She wasn't actually mad.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
we
was
got that,
hilarious. I
but-
remember that.
It's funny.
Oh, look, there you go. It's okay. He didn't know. I'm a Taurus too.
Nice.
Taurus is a weird sign, man. Obviously, Virgo is the best one. So
Taurus is a great sign because you do not ever have to worry about if we're being two-faced. We are very straightforward.
I believe was it Gemini is the two
Gemini.
ones,
Ooh,
right?
yeah, you can't trust a Gemini.
I've been married to one for a long time.
Ooh, one day, man, she'll murder you.
Well, I'm really glad you didn't escalate that prediction.
But I'll try to get to the bottom of it and make sure that it was, it was deserved.
All right, we got Eric over here coming in on Brahma's chat, asking how everybody's doing and how Brahma's doing.
It's starting the weekend. I'm good now. This has been a long, stupid week.
Davina over here saying Scorpio ? Like, wait, let me read it like I'm on Anchorman. Scorpio?
Yeah, I don't know what mine is.
I don't know I don't even have any idea what the traits of a Scorpio are. I think Brahma, we're fairly close, so you may also be a Virgo.
I'm beginning of September. I think it's Cancer.
That's Virgo.
But
no, that's Virgo.
Is it Virgo? Okay.
Yep. Right before us is Leo. That's like the August people, like Mad. Mad is Leo. The traits of a Leo is supposed to be overly exuberant and wanting to be the center of attention. So not like him at all.
No,
not like Mad.
That doesn't seem like Matt.
Not like Virgo's traits are supposed to be methodical and logic driven. So let's see. Oh, yeah. So SAG-AFTRA, like this, the studio heads are
Courtney is
just
confusing the ever-loving shit out of me now. I don't understand.
She has a rare disease. It's not cancer.
But it's treated with chemo?
Yes.
Odd. I guess this I'm not a doctor. The only experience I have with cancer is that, you know, my dad had it and his dad had it, and everybody in my family gets cancer, so I assume I'll have it at some point. But like, I thought chemo was only for cancer because it basically kills you. Like, chemo is basically, we're gonna kill you, but we're hoping that we don't kill you as much as we kill the cancer.
Well,
yeah.
I don't
So
know.
Courtney, yeah, Virgos are cool, but yeah,
As long as
chemo.
I've known Courtney,
I know the logic behind chemotherapy is like what Slender is saying is we are going to kill everything in your body faster than the cancer so that it kills the cancer too, and then we hope you survive so that you can recover, but the cancer's dead. So it's
small doses,
it's
she says.
definitely yeah.
Okay.
So it's so I mean hopefully if that's going to work for you. I'm hoping that if they actually invest in medical technology that isn't just BS shots that Travis Kelsey advertises for, that they can put some investment into something that will help make it so you don't have to do weekly doses of that forever, because that's not a fun situation to be
that
in.
would be awful.
But yeah, now getting to what Slender was talking about, this was where you said, you know, like the bridge too far, which was it was 57 cents per subscriber that Fran Drescher was
That's
demanding.
insanity.
Yeah, the millionaires would like us to put out a little bit more money to have the services of being able to watch their crap.
But it'd make their lives so much better, bro.
No, but here's the thing though. You guys don't
my life sucks right now.
Here's what people don't understand. This is most of, like, when the WGA was negotiating, it was for what the writers were going to get paid, right? That was what they were on strike for. Like when writers that are part of our union write for the show, this is what they'll be paid for working on this kind of show, for working on a streaming show. This is the bonuses they'll get. It's all money that will eventually go to the writers. What SAG is asking for, this 57 cents per subscriber, isn't money to be paid to the actors. It's money to be paid to the union.
For the union to do with what
as
they
will. Please. Exactly. It's for a union slush fund. It's not actually going to, so this 57 cents per subscriber would not go into the pocket of any of the actors directly. It's and you can imagine that if you're a union, any kind of flow of money that you can get makes you even stronger. So most of the time what you're using to get, if you remember the old mob stuff, was controlling the union pension plans, because that was where the voluntary extra money that the union dues that people would put in would go, and they could use that slush fund to pay for things.
Right.
This would be, I don't even want to guess what the SAG would be using with this slush fund, and what their agenda would be, what the point of it is. It's if I was
working on Wednesday.
Oh yeah, because he's gonna just yell. I remember thinking that it was Sporking would be the one, like Ryan Reynolds was joking, yelling at his 8-year-old scab
for being a scab. Yeah,
for being a scab,
for wearing a Halloween costume.
Oh yeah. So okay, Tina says union dues also pay for actors' health insurance if they make under a certain amount. But here's the thing:
but
like
then
this,
they should be paying the dues. I mean,
yeah. So the union members would still pay the dues. Then this extra 57 cents per subscriber, which was estimated to be somewhere between 500 million and $1 billion per year, would just go to SAG. Extra.
Yeah. And you know that they would spend it on lobbying and PR and shit, like so that they could make the situation even better during the next strike.
Well,
PSAs with our favorite actors telling us who to vote for next year.
Yeah, and I'm sure Fran Drescher wouldn't get a really nice new office and a wardrobe allowance and everything else. it's bullshit. At this point, the actors they need to do something to probably push their leadership into just making the deal, because they're not getting.
Oh, they're trying. Like George Clooney, a couple others. They're like, hey, we will buy out our union contracts if we can go back to work.
Do you know what the common thread for the people who all the high earners in a couple weeks ago sent this open letter saying that they wanted, like, that they would, what they offered to do was take the cap off union dues, so that people who make like 20-30 million a movie, there would be, usually it's capped at X dollars, is you only pay dues up to like $100,000 of wages.
Right.
They would take the cap off and just pay it to help make the deal. What all of those people had in common is that they all have production houses that they also run. So they're not just actors, they're also producers. So they make a lot of their money from producing content. And guess what's not happening right now? There's nobody producing content. So all the
Daily
people
Wire
you always see, Daily Wire is, so they still make money. So I don't know. It's stupid.
I'm still convinced that's part of the reason they're going with Brett Cooper for Snow White for their movie. They don't have to worry about that crap, and they've got a number of actors that they've got doing the Pendragon cycle.
Well, she's in that one too. She's the lead in the Pendragon one.
I don't think so, because they're filming it right now overseas, and she's still working.
No, I think she's in that one too. And I think they shot the Snow White while they were shooting it, so they saved money. Because I think they probably, I mean, it's a smart thing to do. The set designs would be basically the same because it's a medieval zone. You've got the same actress, you can use the same hair and makeup people, you got the same, it's a forest.
Yeah, as opposed to setting everything up all over again for the next project, if the projects are similar. That might be interesting. We might have to watch those and see if it looks like they're using the same set, same locations and stuff.
Yeah.
That's why when that news broke, I was talking with, and Culture was on some streams, and I kept making that point, is that I'm pretty sure that one of the reasons the Daily Wire was able to pump this out so fast and jump on the stuff is because they were already there shooting. So they're just combining savings. Like, the cost of this show is just being rolled into the cost of that one. They probably just have the B team directing crew like go out and shoot stuff, and you can roll that out there and not even have to spend like a whole budget to do that. It's exactly how you would make a movie on a budget at the same time to save costs.
And with Brett Cooper, I mean, we've seen what the Daily Wire contracts look like, obviously, through the Crowder thing. And we know that Brett Cooper, right around that same time, had renegotiated her contract because she had gone, I mean, she blew up after she joined the Daily Wire. Her YouTube channel and everything else just went skyrocketing. So they renegotiated. It would not surprise me, since she was an actress at one point, that was part of the negotiations, was she gets to act in a feature-length film if they're making one. So they may even have that already built in with her.
So here's the IMDb.
We got all the ladies in my chat tonight.
I know. Yeah. So good for you, Brahma. Yeah. Here's the Pendragon Cycle IMDb page, and right down here, Brett Cooper. So she's in it,
but she's in one episode. I mean, that's not the lead. That's just one episode.
Way down on the list. Dude, that's not top billing or anything.
No, but what I'm saying is she was going out there to shoot her stuff for this show anyway. So I think while they were out there, they were like, "Fuck it, we're gonna do the Snow White shit." Because look at the images.
Or they may have shot. They may have shot whatever episode she was in last, and then continued production with the movie after they finished, or started with her stuff for Snow White and then went into this. There's a number of ways they could do it. I agree that probably would be a good way to do it, especially with the shots we've seen from the preview or the trailer teaser thing from Snow White. It definitely looks like it could be over there.
Yeah, because if you look at the costume design and the like zones that these publicity stills are from, that looks like the same kind of style and same general vicinity, woodsy European setting that that they did that promo shot for Snow White. Anyway, so that's where I think, because that's the kind of thing the Daily Wire would be doing. Like, hey, how can we get more content with what we're already spending, and content that'll make a splash? That's how
It
you.
may have been
Since
a
it's
last
basically
minute
Jeremy
thing.
Boring doing all of the stuff.
And this is very aligned with Jeremy Boring. Like,
Yeah.
oh, these people don't these razors, they have espoused extremely liberal values. I'll make my own razors. Oh, this chocolate company is espousing extremely liberal values. I'll sell my own chocolate. Oh, Disney, I'll make Snow White.
Well, not just Snow
I'm
White.
trying to
They made a whole production company for kids TV shows. Bentkey released, and they've got they started that with 18 shows and over 100 episodes already out, and then there's new episodes coming out every Saturday morning.
I'm trying to see if they have a place for where this is being shot.
I was looking up where Jeremy Boring currently is because he's been on sabbatical doing this. He left the CEO
I'm thinking it might be
position.
Hungary.
It's Hungary or Slovenia or something. Something over there, yeah.
All right, so here's an interesting thing that I'm going to point out right here. So you see this news article part on the IMDb on September 21st is when they dropped that she was going to be in that Pendragon cycle.
Mm-hmm.
October 16th is when they dropped that Daily Wire Snow White bit. It's very close. Like, I think she was out. I think this was definitely a which we talk about. It's smart. Let's see, Cooper's going to play Ganida. I don't even know. Ganieda, the future wife of Merlin. Ganida.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And it's a 7-episode drama reimagining myth of King Arthur at the end of Roman Britain. It just says
which is the Stephen R. Lougheed book series.
Yeah.
The Taliesin book series.
Yeah, and it's the article just says currently filming in Europe. So and that's why I don't mind it. If this is if while you're making your high your premium King Arthur show, you slip to the side and do like a lower cost, basically tween Snow White movie for your kids imprint. Bam!
Well, and to stick it directly in the face of Disney in two ways. You release the movie Snow White to go head to head, and then you release your new app, which is all kids programming that is specifically designed not to be anything near what Disney's been doing. So they're putting their money where their mouth is.
Part of me is starting to think with relation to E. Clay Thomason's comment there about the way capitalism is supposed to work. We got to get away from this model of everything as a service. Like this whole, everything as a service.
You mean you're tired of owning nothing?
Well, a great example is we were talking about the DoorDash and the fucking the food delivery services, right? All of them are like, hey, you could pay a little bit less every time if you spend $10 a month on our food delivery service. It's like, what are you? Why? And we talked about it a couple weeks ago with Unity being like, oh, we want a piece of all the products that are coming out of everything. And actors, oh, we want a piece of every subscriber. It's like, by the way, actors, you're part of the product side. You're not part of the distribution side. You don't get to go, hey, pay me for the product that I'm helping you make, and then pay me for how good that product does. One or the other.
We got Davina making the point about eating the bugs, with the WEF.
You will eat the bugs.
You will live in the pod, and you will eat the bugs, and you will know nothing, and you will be happy.
Oh,
because we told you will be happy.
we've hit ambient time for Bad Take Bonjin, so this might be where we should start talking about how terrible Loki was to see how irresponsible she gets in her comments. But yeah, so it's part of the agenda. That's why when I talk about building your own Plex server and getting physical media that you own, that you then create the digital copy, which is, by the way, perfectly legal. It is 100% legal to make a digital backup copy of any physical media you own. It's not, you're not going to have the FBI coming at you and going after you for copyright infringement. It's well documented case law that a person who owns the physical media has the right to make copy for themselves as a backup, which includes
this
digital.
would be true, Southern Belle. I wish that were the case. I really do.
Yeah, it's
Slight typo.
Is there any more?
Unfortunately, the typo drastically changes the context.
Right.
Is there any more guy out of central casting for like a world dominating villain than Klaus Schwab? Man,
I mean,
yeah,
he's got
and
it
of course
all.
German.
He's got the tiny little glasses. He's got the really thick accent. He says the most absurd shit. And it's like, how do you people not see that this guy is a Bond villain? Like, how?
He's even got the bald Dr. Evil head.
Yes, Davina bringing up it's called the Digital DRM, Digital Rights Millennium Copyright Act. It was the DRM is what is the digital copyright that they put onto media. You can get products that will remove it and decrypt the media that you own so that you can make your digital backups.
Right.
It just is.
Even with video games and stuff, like I'm fairly certain, like the old school Nintendo games, if you don't have a working Nintendo, but you own all the Nintendo games and you've got a whole library of them, you're allowed to emulate in that case.
Let's see. Clay saw mount. If Plex would let me mount and use ISO files, then I would be all over it. They used to in the beginning, but then changed because of pressure from the movie studios. So when I make my Plex copies, I either retain the MKV is the RIP file type from the like DVD or Blu-ray, or I convert it to MP4. And most of the time, I just convert it to MP4 because I'm making a digital copy. I can scale it to whatever quality that I'm looking for, and it does reduce the size so that I can have lots and lots of movies, as Brahma and Slender can confirm, on my Plex server. So
it just doesn't have the features of the DVD. It has the movie.
Yeah, the main big
right?
Yeah, the main bug. I usually so I will rip usually the alternate audio tracks if they have a commentary track.
Right.
So that you can choose that as your alternate like audio feed. But what it won't have is I don't rip the bonus features. Some people will make complete, and that's what he's talking about with the ISOs, like complete full copies of what's on the disc. I usually just back up the movie itself. And the one thing that when you convert it to MP4 that is a problem is that it doesn't have subtitles. And that's what, the comment that just came in from Clay is that you just get the movie files, not all the extra and audio formats and subtitles. Well, you can add all the audio files. I have no problem doing that with the system I use. I use Handbrake to do it. But you lose the subtitles. But Plex has built into it, people can load up the subtitle file
database,
and you can just pull it and you put it in there. So I just had to do that recently with the Battle of Britain. It was one of the movies I got at the library sale because there's German dialogue scenes because it's set during World War II. And so it didn't pull any subtitles. They weren't. So there's something called burnt in subtitles. They're actually, when they made the movie, they just put them on the screen and they're part of the movie versus actually a subtitle file. So these ones didn't have burnt on subtitles. So that's, if you Brahma or Slender, if you catch out Battle of Britain, you're going to have to turn on do the subtitle download because it won't be on there otherwise.
What are you talking about? We don't own that media. We only watch it with you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's
And when
see,
I
Davina.
watch media on the Plex server, I only watch the medias that I actually own. I don't want to go get them out of my cabinet.
Yeah. So Clay's like, I've tried the subtitle thing. It's spotty. I do usually have to try 2 or 3 different sub feeds before I find the one that I usually look for the one that's been downloaded and
The
rated
most
up the
downloads.
most. And
Yeah.
that's the one that's usually pretty solid. So you can go from there. It's fun. I mean, there's a little bit of effort you got to go into if you build your own library. You're creating your own network to do it. So you do have to put some of your effort into it. But I don't have any Netflix issues where they pull down, what was it, Back to the Future, where they edited the Ooh La La magazine or anything weird like that. Let's see, Davina, but
And you still
Blu-ray,
have Donald Trump in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York?
Yeah, I do, because I have the physical media before they decided he was a persona non grata. Davina's up, but Blu-ray or DVD are a hassle because of territory rights. You still can't get discs of some movies or shows because the studios don't have. Yeah, so there's a fun thing. If you order it from the EU versions of movies, will usually be region free if they're Blu-rays. So pro tip right there. Like I get them off. Slender knows this because that's where I got Payback, which he watched the director's cut of and was
which good
The Mel
effing luck
Gibson
finding
movie?
that movie in
yes,
America.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah, so I bought the
Have you ever seen the director's cut though, Brahma?
I doubt I have.
it's terrible.
Awful. It's fucking
really?
awful.
Yeah, it's like a whole different third act.
I don't know who the editor was, but the editor on that movie was like, we got to fix this shit.
Saved it.
Yes.
Totally just
different
because
movie.
we've had this screen up this whole time. The other thing I'd point out, I mean, Brett Cooper's Brett Cooper. Sure, she looks like the female version of Ben Shapiro. She's not an ugly woman, but I mean, the blonde that they've got for the Pendragon cycle, they're not going with the ugly chicks for roles. Like they're going to actually cast to make people want to see it, because that blonde chick doesn't look too bad.
No. Now Davina points out that I couldn't find any copies of The Punisher, Daredevil, because they were never produced of the older shows. If she's talking about the Netflix shows, they 100% did do DVD releases of the Daredevil ones. I think they also did the Punisher season as well, but the Daredevil seasons from Netflix were released on DVD, and you can find those. I don't know if you want to get into it just on like the show, but you can go on Amazon or and find. You might have to pay or go on eBay, because I don't know if since Disney got the rights back, if Amazon if Netflix is allowed to keep them in production, but they were produced, and you can get them. And if you go on eBay, they may even have people who make like right now. If you net on Amazon for $60, it's the complete seasons 1 through 3 on DVD. Now, it may be at a price point you don't want to pay. I mean, that's your call. But the seasons are available on DVD. I don't know if they put them on Blu-ray or 4K, but they're definitely available on DVD.
Which is at least a physical copy.
Exactly. And they're on eBay now. Disney probably, but they're still on Amazon too. It's sold by one of the Amazon stores, vendors. Oh, complete, and they even have the Punisher season 1 and 2 as well for $40 on DVD. You are paying a higher price point now. This is terrible. The one that they put out on Blu-ray was Luke Cage first season. Interesting. Oh wait, here's Daredevil season 1 and 2 on Blu-ray for $44. So you can get high def copies. It looks like maybe season 3 wasn't on Blu-ray, just DVD. So you're paying a premium though if you wanted to get them.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Good to hear, Brahma. You had a great day, doing well. Very tiring school. Thanks for asking. You're such a good host, Brahma. That's why people are on your channel. That's why you got all the ladies.
No, let's not lie. The only reason that people know of my channel is because Comics lets me do stuff on his channel.
This is true. Yeah, we're I guess that would put us comics adjacent.
Adjacent. Dick's Division adjacent.
There you go. That's a what would you say, Slender? We're adjacent to the Dick's Division.
Yeah, we're next to the dicks.
Oh, and since Slender has a propensity to just cut the stream, tomorrow I've got Bourbon and Boarding with Culture Casino is going to be the guest. So
if you enjoy hockey, you should 100% watch the show. It's
was
fun
only
times.
like 8 seconds away too.
Before he pointed out that you do just hit the button.
You mean before I cut the stream?